Nature abhors a vacuum. Just leave a piece of bare land and it will immediately be occupied by weeds. In fact, weeds are actually small plants, weeds in quotes, that germinate where you should have been growing your vegetables or flowers. Since nature abhors a vacuum, we might as well take advantage of it. If in your vegetable garden area or ornamental garden you have a lot of weeds sprouting every time you sow or plant vegetables or flowers, then we can in fact use these weeds to practice false sowing. Here is a plot of false sowing with approximately about 100 annual weeds per square meter, which are in quotes various species of weeds. So if I had sown lettuce, escarole, chicory or radish, I would have had to fight with these weeds because the main plants that grow here are mainly weeds, such as dandelions and crabgrass. False sowing allows me to avoid using herbicides and saves a lot of time. So how does it work? The principle is simple. As farmers used to do in the past, when there were neither total herbicides nor selective herbicides, they practiced false sowing. In some regions this was called fair versus sane, which means they didn't sow right away. So there is indeed a most appropriate time, which is when the plants, the weeds, sprout abundantly. That is, starting from the months of March, April. The soil absolutely needs to be in good condition. So you prepare the soil, you prepare it very, very well, as if you were going to sow, as if you were going to sow beets, as if you were going to sow lettuce, turnips, but you don't actually sow, you leave the soil as it is. So if it rains, if there is sufficient enough moisture, the weeds, the seeds of the weeds will germinate. If during this period it doesn't rain and there isn't enough moisture, well, you water as if you were watering your lettuce, you water quite generously. And after a week, the unwanted seeds start to germinate. We will leave them for approximately about a week, and once they have sprouted well, we will then weed them out and afterwards hoe just on the surface to ensure they are fully taken care of. This operation must take place on a sunny day and in the morning with a hoe. This technique only works on annual weeds. For perennial plants like bindweeds, couchgrass and even nettles, you absolutely need to remove the roots to solve the problem of unwanted plants in the flower bed. Once we have finished circling the weeds, we can leave them for 2 or even 3 hours, always in full sunlight. The sun will scorch the roots, and it's only at the end of the day with a rake that you can remove all these weeds. At the end of the day, it will also allow you to check if all the weeds have been properly cut. A mistake not to make as soon as you have finished your work is to say, there, I will start sowing and then plant lettuces. Be aware that if you sow seeds of cultivated plants, you will inevitably water them, and if there are any weeds more or less buried, they will take advantage of the moisture.